It's been a while since we've done a water resources outlook, since we have been teleworking a lot more. And while we continue to do operations in the office, many of us remain at home, which makes the recording and distribution a little more complicated for the water resources outlook. But we have some capacity to get it done, and so here is your July edition of the WRO. And here's Jeff to get us started.
Okay, thanks Todd. So first let's look at the past precipitation. We see here the last 30 days and lots of those red colors, meaning more than 5 inches of rainfall, and not so much green, which would be less than 2 inches. So pretty good as far as rainfall as we move through the middle of the summer across the southeast. How does that compare to normal? We see here that most of the region pretty close to normal, with above normal across parts of Alabama and Mississippi, while parts of central Florida are seeing well below normal rainfall, especially on the west coast. Since the beginning of the year, again, we see reflections of the wet late winter, with the northern half of the region well above normal and closer to normal along the coast. So where does this lead us with stream flows? Well, pretty close to normal, as you see here, the latest 28-day stream flows from the U.S. Geological Survey. The green dots are normal, and that is what covers most of the region, with some light blue dots, meaning above normal there, especially in the Carolinas and Virginia, and some below normal down there in west central Florida. That's the orange dots, where we are seeing the rainfall deficits this summer. Speaking of deficits, what about drought? Here we see no drought across the southeast at this time. A small pocket of abnormally dry conditions there in North Georgia, and the little dot there in Alabama, and that's pretty much it. As far as precipitation, here are the normal monthly rainfall amounts by state, and we see there how in most states we do see a summer bump up, but of course more so in Florida than anywhere else. Summer is the wet season in Florida, where they see almost twice the rainfall than winter and early spring. As far as river flood climatology, we see we are in week 30, and this typically is the quiet time of year before the tropical season weeks there, and that are about 6 weeks away. That is our secondary river flood season due to the tropics and the Florida wet season. And we see that here as well when we look at the percent ratio of annual stream flow. We see stream flows across many parts of the eastern U.S. are at their lowest during late summer, with the exception of the Florida Peninsula, there where stream flows gradually increase into September. And that is due in large part from the tropical season storms. So where do we see these storms originate? Well, in June, mainly in the Gulf, but July we see the Caribbean come into play and the Gulf Stream off the Carolinas coast. But by August and September, we begin seeing storms come farther east and off the coast of Africa. And so this year we have seen some storms affect the southeast, but they really haven't been significant as far as river flooding. Here is a look back at past years' tropical systems and the ones that have affected the southeast, and of those, the ones that had produced significant river flooding. So last year, nothing significant, and we hope this trend continues, especially after the 2016, 2017, and 2018 year.
So since there are only two of us here today, I get to talk about the forecast from the short term all the way through the rest of the year. We will begin with the forecast for later this week. Summer finally got here, and really does feel like summer out there. Hot and humid conditions across the southeast U.S. Hot conditions will continue this week as a Bermuda high builds into the southeast, and while fronts attempt to move into the area, the high is just too strong and will keep the hot temperatures with typical afternoon thunderstorms as a possibility. This is our outlook through Friday. And as we move into the weekend, we see much of the same as high pressure dominates our weather pattern. An inch of rain per week is close to normal over most of the southeast, excluding Florida. And even with normal rainfall, the rivers and streams and ground tend to dry out this time of year. Lake levels typically fall this time of year also. High pressure keeping rain more scattered will put the southeast at an even greater deficit during this time. Fortunately, we come into these conditions with the southeast being in decent shape, having had plenty of rain since the beginning of the year, as Jeff showed us earlier. And here again, high pressure continues to be our main weather forcing hot and mostly dry across the area. The 7-day precipitation forecast from this morning through next Tuesday morning indicates some above normal rain along the Virginia and North Carolina coast, kind of where we had that little frontal system that was dipping down just a little bit, and more normal in the Carolinas and below normal as we get into Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and much of Florida. The Climate Prediction Center's Week 2 outlook that gets us into early August shows the best chance for near normal rainfall across the region. Models are hinting at the high pressure breaking down and shifting out, moving a little bit further to the east, giving the southeast a slightly better chance for rain. We will be watching that closely as we get into early August. So now we are going to look a little further out. One thing I want to show you is the model predictions of ENSO from March. It showed us being in neutral conditions for El Nino and La Nina, but the equatorial Pacific was a little below normal in its temperatures, possibly being near La Nina conditions heading into the more active part of the hurricane season, and then jumping back up for winter. And our current outlook shows we are below normal and are very close to La Nina for the bulk of the hurricane season, but not coming out of La Nina until midwinter or early spring now. This will have an impact on both the hurricane season and our winter recharge period. So here's the Climate Prediction Center's temperature outlook for August, a continuation of what we have been seeing recently, above normal for all of our area. This will likely continue into early fall. Our precipitation outlook for August is for above normal precipitation right now. With an above normal hurricane season predicted, that is at least part of the reason that we see this. La Nina typically means a more active hurricane season because in a La Nina pattern, upper level winds over the Atlantic are weaker, which helps to provide a better opportunity for storms to develop. Our fall outlook from August through October also reflects that above normal possibility. Typically, the fall is pretty dry, only giving us an opportunity for above normal rainfall if the tropics are active. Not necessarily an organized system, but tropical moisture is available as fronts become more active in these months. And finally, I'll show you the early winter outlook from November through January. Due to the potential La Nina, below normal precipitation would be more likely. If the La Nina forecast changes, then this would likely change also. So the bottom line, in the short term, continued hot with scattered storms across the southeast U.S., at least for the next week or two. As for the long term, neutral ENSO trending toward La Nina, and this will help contribute to that active hurricane season. And with the La Nina possible to continue through the winter, it might mean a little bit drier than normal winter. Again, it's a little early for that, but if this trend continues, that's likely what we're looking at for that time of year. We hope to record our next water resources outlook on August 20th, 2020, but we will record a little earlier or a little bit later, all depending on our situation. Also depends on how active our hurricane season is and how active our weather will be. So stay tuned, and if you have any questions or you need something from us, please email us or let us know if you need anything, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thanks, and we'll talk to you next month.